Oh hey, didn't see you there. Just mixing up some water-soluble fertilizer for my pot plants. My potted plants. If you're a container gardener like me, I can guarantee you that you're likely under-fertilizing your plants. Before we get started, I'm Lucas. I'm a pot grower. That means I'm a container gardener, and I'm passionate in showing you how to do it too. Or so how often are you fertilizing? Every 1 week, 2 weeks, every month? Are you using Osmocote, organics? Are you using water soluble? Are you aware that there's growers of a specific crop that are fertilizing at every watering? It's tomatoes. Now we may not be commercial tomato growers, so we don't need to fertilize at every watering, but we still need to fertilize properly. First, I want to say it's generally difficult to over-fertilize an established plant. Established plant doesn't have to be very big. It's like a rooted cutting like this big. I pour Jacks on it almost every watering. Generally, when people say their plants die from over-fertilization, I think it's more of an issue of the salts from the fertilizer more than the fertilizer itself. Although it is possible, I'm not too sure. I've never run into that issue. So my main fertilizer is Osmocote Plus. Lasts for about 5 to 6 months and has about everything you need. But what I also do is I add the organics at the same time that I put in the Osmocote Plus. The pellets last for about 5 to 6 months. You can usually tell when you need more fertilizer when your tree starts to decline, or if you just look in the pot and there's nothing left, because these things are colored. And once they're all used up, they basically lose the color and then they just disappear and dissolve. So if your plants stop growing or you're seeing yellowing leaves or any deficiencies, it's a good time to add more fertilizer. All right, so I'll show you how much I would typically fertilize my jujube tree. I have a 25-gallon one. And what I do is I just shake it into it. I get an even spread around the top and call it a day for about 4 or 5 months. That's how I usually fertilize all my plants. When I said earlier that you're probably under-fertilizing your plants, it's because in the back of the label, it says 1 capful for every 2 gallons of the pot. So we need 12 and a half of these caps. I'm gonna dump this out into my big bag. I have a 50-pound bag of this. We'll see how much Osmocote you actually need to fertilize a 25-gallon pot. All right, we're back to 0. That's 1, 2, 3. All right, scooped up 12 and a half caps of Osmocote Plus, and it's, I don't know how well you can see this, but that's basically 3/4 full. And I'll tell you, I don't put nearly that much fertilizer in my plants. All right, so like I said, this is how much I would typically would have fertilized this jujube. It's a 25-gallon pot. Just get an even spread. All right, a little more. That's maybe 10% of the bottle. This is how much they actually recommend you should use. You literally can't see the soil underneath the fertilizer. It's literally a layer of Osmocote. That's way more than I've ever used. Osmocote says you can over-fertilize at 3 times the amount of what is recommended and still not damage the plant. So with a 25-gallon plant, you can basically just put the whole bottle in. This is a 2-pound bottle. So this is why I say it's hard to over-fertilize a plant, because I'm using probably like 20% of this normally when I do a 25-gallon pot. So this is a good reminder for me to fertilize my own plants properly, because they're massively under-fertilized. Maybe that's why they see improvement every time I put Jacks in there. I usually like to say every about 2 weeks, I will add some water-soluble fertilizer. I use Jacks 25-5-15. I bought this specifically for citrus, but this bag has lasted me many, many years now, like 3 years. So I just use it for everything, and I haven't had any issues of over-fertilization with it. This water-soluble fertilizer is pretty straightforward. They just dissolve in the water. There's dosages based on what you're trying to grow, but I just keep it simple. I just use a spoonful for each gallon of water, and I have a 3-gallon watering can. I like this Rainmaker one. It's lasted me a couple years. And there's two types I have. I have the ones that are dry and granular, and then there's the liquid-based ones, which are more concentrated. And basically do the same thing. You know, there's instructions on there. I don't really look into that too much. I just put a little teaspoon in there and use it as is. I just scoop this up. For the Foliage Pro, it just dumps some in the spoon as well. So now I got 2 gallons worth. I'll just do another one. So we'll just fill up the water can. Applying it is easy, you just water it in. And the most I would water is until it runs out the bottom. So prior to all this synthetic fancy stuff, the growers used to have to use organic fertilizer every month or so. So you have to go in your pots and just fertilize all of them. And you know, this type of thing makes it so much easier. You only need to fertilize every 5 or 6 months. It is possible to grow in pots with only organic fertilizer. You just need to fertilize a lot more. And you also need to control your watering. Because every time you water your plants, you have the potential to flush out all the nutrients out of the pot. So if you just don't water on this constantly, all the fertilizer that has broken down is just gonna wash out. And then the nutrition is not gonna be in there. And organics are a complete fertilizer. You could miss out with something with these synthetic ones, the chemical ones. Maybe there's something that they haven't discovered that the plant needs, but it's not in there yet. But with the organics, you know, it's all poop, and whatever eats the poop is gonna decompose and give the plant whatever it needs. So organics are always best in ground. That's the only thing I use. I never put any salts-based fertilizers in the ground.
Fertilizing with organics can be a little complicated, but I came up with this special technique. It goes like this. Grab a scoop, you know, whatever, like that. You just go like this and you go, wah! In all seriousness, it doesn't really matter. You can't really over-fertilize with organics.
So with water-soluble fertilizers, the benefit is you can connect it into a fertilization system. So this way it ports into your drip system and then it'll fertilize all the plants together at one time. And that's probably gonna be my next step. I've been sick of watering plants, which I have solved, and I am also sick of fertilizing plants. So once I get that done, everything will be pretty much automated. I just need a robot to come and prune for me. And then want to harvest fruits. We'll work on that. But now, do you think you have been fertilizing your plants correctly? If you haven't, you're still seeing issues, make sure you're growing in the proper potting soil like the video I have over here.